Hi guys, it's Kelly here and I'm back with another video for Honeybee Stamps. Today we are going to be using, these are some products that came out for Valentine's Day. So I pulled out a couple of sentiments. I actually ended up using the Aces 3D embossing folder and the Lovely Layers Love Wins, which is the actual slot machine. Those are the ones that I ended up going with. I wasn't sure how I was going to put the card together, so that's why I pulled out a bunch of different stuff from the collection. So, like I said, this was originally from a Valentine's release, but I am actually going to use this to make my dad's birthday card from me. If you guys have been watching either on the Honeybee channel or on my own channel, you saw that I did some masculine cards recently. That those cards are going to be the ones that my kids give my dad and the ones that I give my brother-in-law. This card is going to be from me to my dad for his birthday. So I've pulled out a bunch of different cardstock and I'm going to start die cutting all of my pieces. One of the ways that I got away with making this card like super fancy without having to really put in a lot of work was by using a gold metallic base. I have never been to Vegas, which is crazy because my parents went all the time. But I did do some Googling to see different kinds of colors of slot machines. And so I ended up going with this one, like this color combination, because it seemed like it was going to be the most realistic, even though, have I ever seen a slot machine in real life? I don't think I have. And then that Aces embossing folder is going to be my background. Before we get too far in the video, I do want to mention, in case you have not gotten the newsletter or you don't know, Honeybee Stamps is having a Labor Day sale. It is 15% off site-wide, which means everything. There's no code needed. It automatically comes off. And if you don't know, I always like to point this out. Honeybee carries things besides just their own brand. So I love, love, love these sales for picking up my consumables. Cardstock, glue, inks. If you're into markers, they carry Olo markers. And Copics. They carry both of them, actually. So, like, these are the times where I'm like, yeah, let me get in there and take advantage of the sale for stuff that I would be buying anyway. And then, of course, you know, maybe, I'm not going to deny that one or two other things might fall into my cart that maybe I didn't have, that were stamps or dies or something like that, that are just wants and not needs. But anywho. So, they do carry Spellbinders cardstock, and that is the most of what I've used here. I've used their beeswax and poppy. I do think that like the peachy coral color is actually Gina K though. But I'm sure they probably have one that's close to that. And then the gold metallic is also Spellbinders. It is from their, what do they call them? They're like collections of like, it's like a gold collection, but it's like gold glitter, gold mirror, gold, like brushed gold, bright gold, you know, and they have that for like gold and black and silver and all kinds. And those are great for especially like holiday cards, because it gives you a variety of the same type of color. So anyhow, so I went through and I wasn't sure how I was going to put this together. This one, it's the actual slot machine. It's called Lovely Layers Love Wins. But it has so many different ways that you can build it. So the little squares that you see up there is one of the ways that you can customize it. It has the most slender white rectangle actually has like embossing on it so that you could line those all up and they would be like the little light up buttons at the top. I ended up doing it where I used the word jackpot instead in that area. So it says, I hit the jackpot with you. Obviously that could be for Valentine's Day or anniversary, but for me, it's going to be for my dad because I did hit the jackpot with him as a dad. He is an excellent one. So now, most of the time, I do, spend a lot of time coloring and adding shading to even my die cuts. This one actually doesn't really need a ton of it. I mean, I did add some shading to it, but it was very minimal, which is why you'll probably notice that this video is not as long as my other ones. because it just comes together really quickly, which I love. And because of the way that I chose to decorate it, I had very minimal little bits to deal with, because you guys know I don't love the little bits. But I was still really happy with the way that it came out, and it's super clean. Here they have like these little light bars, so I wasn't sure how I wanted to do it. So originally I cut one out of that coral and one out of the yellow, and then I kind of laid them out. I liked the yellow more because I wanted them to look like, are they called like running lights? Is that what they're called? I wanted them to look like the lights were cycling. So the yellow made the most sense, because then I could add red marker to that so that it would look like the lights were moving. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, so my parents like always went to Vegas. That was they would go to Vegas typically twice a year. Like they would go in the winter months, and then they would usually go for their anniversary, which is in August. And so if you guys have been following me, then you guys know that my mom passed away in May. So I wasn't really sure what my dad was going to do, but he decided that he was going to go. He was going to go on their regular Vegas trip. And, you know, I tried to send my husband with him. My sisters tried to go, and he was like, no, I just want to go by myself. Which, like, who am I to tell somebody how to grieve, right? Like, I mean, they were married for, 40 some years. So if he wants to go by himself, then that's his choice. And so he did. And I know that it was probably very, very difficult for him, because he had to modify some of the ways that he did things. But I mean, isn't that what we're all doing after somebody passes, is just modifying the way that we're doing things to try to get through. But my husband took him to and from the airport, which was very kind of him, because my father booked the earliest flight. He booked the earliest flight. So like Eric literally had to get up at like 3:30 in the morning to drive him to the airport, which he totally did not mind, because he is awesome. But that obviously is a little bit different than what you would normally be doing, with your sleeps. Plus, like, my husband never did, like, he like all of us who work like union jobs, he had to cycle through all 3 shifts, and he did not thrive on night shift, y'all. He was not good. I loved a night shift very much, like my mother. I loved night shift. I still do. If I didn't have children, I'd probably work all through the night and sleep all during the day, and it wouldn't bother me any. Though I think that's supposed to be hard on your body. But anyway, so here, we're just kind of piecing everything together. And as you can see, there is nothing that is complicated. Everything like just lays on top, one on top of the other. It did take me a little bit of just like looking at the layering guide, which are always available on Honeybee's website. You can open them and have, like, if you have a computer or a screen by you, you can open them and have them up, or you can download them, print them, and keep them with your dies. I have an L-shaped desk, so usually my computer is over here playing, music or an audiobook. So I usually just bring them up on my screen. But you can do whichever one works for you. So it did take me a minute to kind of look at it to figure out what pieces needed to be cut out of what color. But I only had 1 or 2 like little hiccups where, after you guys saw me sort all my things, I always do that to make sure I have everything. And the 2 pieces that I had to go back and cut was when I finally decided the lights were going to be yellow. I had to cut that piece. And then the light at the top, that gray piece, I missed that one. So, but other than that, I mean, everything was like, just looking at the guide, everything came together pretty easily. And I do, like I said, I do a little bit of shading, just to kind of like bring it all together. I do want to mention, I don't think I left it in here, but like this, if you normally do A2 size cards, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, this will go from the top to the bottom, like from the tippy top to the bottom. Here is where I'm doing those little lights. So next to the rounded areas that are meant to be lights, like in the sections in between, I'm doing a little red dot next to the circles, And then after I do the red with my marker, then I'm going to go back in with my white gel pen and do the same thing right next to the red. So then that way there is it's like a yellow, red, white. So it would look like the lights were kind of like circling. This would be a really fun light up card, I think. Or some other way to make it maybe interactive, maybe like a pull card or something. I think that this would be a lot of fun that way, but an engineer I am not, ladies and gents, so I would have to take a minute to figure out how I would make that work. But so once, like, you guys know I like to add all the details. For the 7s, there is like embossed detail that's like little dots in the center, as well as like kind of a outline border. So I added some white dots to that just to add a little pizzazz. And then for the white screens, so the one at the top, the ones in between, like the 3 for the 7s, and then the one at the bottom, I just added a little bit of shading with a cool gray marker. So I used a C3 and a C1. If you're using Olo markers, it would be the same thing, except theirs I think are called CG, I think is what Olo calls there. And it would be a CG1 and a CG3. And so I went around with the 3 and then I went back around with the 1 just to blend it out. This just helps give it a little bit more dimension instead of being flat white. And if you decided you wanted to do the ones like with the squares, instead of putting in the word jackpot, then I would still shade this the same way. I would do that before I put in any of those squares. For the buttons, you can see like in the embossed detail, there's like a line for what denotes the top and the side. So the part that's the side, I just colored in with the R29, which just made it a little bit darker. And then I used that same marker to add a little bit of shading to the pull handle on the side, and then the piece at the bottom. So I'm going to fit this jackpot in right at the top part of the light, so you won't really see any of the that area that's embossed. You won't see any of that. And then what did I do? I must have been doing something after that. Maybe I was doing like some sort of dry run. Oh, here. No, I did leave it in. Here's where I pulled out the 5x7. Because I thought, well, maybe this would be better. Because I really wanted it to say, I hit the jackpot with you, Dad. And so I used the playful letters to cut that out. But I just couldn't figure out a way to make it work in a design that I actually liked. So I went back to the A2 and nixed the Dad. And I figured I'll just put it on the inside of the card. So now I have everything laid out. I'm using my tweezers and my glue to attach the words. So at the top it'll say I hit the, and the bottom it'll say with you. The dots for the eyes are included, but do I know where mine went? No, I don't. And do I figure it's still legible without it? Yes, I did. So I wasn't tracking them down. I guess I could have gone in with like a gel pen and did them like white or something. Well, the with you it wouldn't have shown, but anyway. So I have never been to Vegas. I've actually never even been inside a casino. I am not a gambler. I don't understand the draw. And not that I'm like yucking anybody's yum. That's totally fine. I just don't. I like to play games a lot. I just don't want to bet on them, I guess, is the way that I would word it. So I did add some highlights to the word jackpot. I just let my pen skip, and then to the buttons, to the handle, things like that. For what you see me doing here is I'm putting a drop shadow in white actually on the gold, and that is going to help it look like it is a little bit more lit up. You do have to make sure that you let that dry because you're putting that gel pen on a non-porous surface like the metallic paper. Alternatively, you could not do the shadow gold. You could actually do it with the yellow, that beeswax color, and that would probably be fine too. So I'm adding shading to the side of the like the button area and to the bottom with these cool like a black, a C9, a C9, a C7, and a C5, just to add into that dimension. This one, it was kind of throwing me because that handle sticks out on the right. So I wasn't loving the way it was looking because it wasn't looking centered. So I decided to use my trimmer and trim off 1/4 of an inch. And then I added 2 stripes of color on the left and the right hand side. And that to me helped it look a little bit more balanced. So I tried it on the red and I tried it on the black. I think that they would probably look fine on either. Like I didn't dislike either. I just like the black a little bit better. It looked a little less lovey. Not that I don't love my father. I do. I love my daddy very much. But I didn't want the card to read as, kind of a Valentine's Day card. So the other thing that you could probably do is maybe add some blue into this, like the primary colors. Instead of the coral color, you could do blue, and that would maybe help it read a little, for sure not Valentine's, but I actually don't mind this color combination. So once I glued that down, I had this, because we're not perfect, guys. So I trimmed it because my black cardstock was just slightly longer than the white. I'm sure it just had to do with where it was sitting on the line in my trimmer. To attach this, normally I wouldn't really hesitate to use a liquid glue. I use liquid for pretty much everything, but I was nervous because of this metallic cardstock, because it's metallic on the front and the back. And so I decided to use a dry adhesive. Did I use a lot of adhesive? Yes. Did I need this much? Probably not, but better to be safe than sorry. So I covered that in some dry adhesive, and then I am going to, like I said, I knew it was going to go from the very bottom to the tippy top. So I got that into position. And then the only other thing I didn't do, and I actually might go back and do it now after watching the video, the yellow light up parts, I might go in and actually color them with stickles. But I did add some shimmer with my clear glitter pen to the stars, the letters, the little light at the top, pretty much everything except for the words. I hit the with you. Pretty much everything else I covered in shimmers. But I do think that that the little stickles would add maybe something more to the lights. So maybe I'll go back and add that. I can't stop myself. I love all the shimmers. And then for I kept going back in with my gel pen because I was just more highlights. So I added some to the stars, and then the sides, at the top, it kind of felt a bit unfinished. So I just added a couple little dots in between the stars to help kind of bring that white into the black. And then that was it. Then that was the whole card. So I hope this inspires you guys to maybe think about what you have a little differently. It's not Valentine's Day. This one is birthday, but I hope it inspires you nonetheless. Don't forget that sale is good through Monday. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.